Ohma is fighting Kureishi like he dropped the soap. That's what it looked like in this chapter. Now, he does somewhat maintain form. At least in my opinion, he is still at an advantage. However, Kureishi is trying to get out with something, some damage that he wants to do to Ohma that will be at least persistent past later rounds of this fight. That is mostly what I see in this chapter, but let's actually talk about the chapter itself, which is appropriately named and simply named Ohma vs. Kureishi, which starts right where we left off in the last chapter. Kureishi has an armbar on Ohma, and Ohma is using indestructible just to make sure that Kureishi doesn't actually break his arm. And at this point, Ohma is expressing that he's a little pissed at Kureishi. He's like, now you've done it. And he goes for a strike with his left hand, it seems here. Now, what's interesting here, and this is something that goes for all of my reviews and breakdowns, is that I actually post the drafts for reference in the video, but when I'm doing the breakdowns, I'm typically just looking at the official chapter. So that can make things a little bit weird if you actually watch the video. But we see Kureishi, he sort of dodges by letting go of the armbar and standing back, and we see Ohma kinda stumble a bit because the way Kureishi chose to disengage from Ohma. In fact, we see this from Toa's analysis of the situation. Kureishi made sure to start dodging the moment Ohma started throwing a punch so that Ohma could get a bit off balance. And so what we see here with Kureishi is, and Ohma calls this out, that he's got a lot of tricks, and Kureishi's like, yeah, comes with being, a veteran, or age, as he says. He's using a lot of knowledge and experience to know, like, hey, look, if I put him into this position and he does this is what the effect of his movement will be. That's what Kureishi is leveraging here. But Ohma, he basically is saying, hey, look, we only got 3 minutes, you better get to work if you want to get anything done. And Kureishi agrees. He's like, okay, let's go at it. And they charge right at each other, and Ohma is using Raging Fire to close the space in between them, and while he's doing that, he seems to unleash a straight right punch as well to hit Kureishi as Kureishi's sort of coming towards him, as he's charging towards him in a lower-ish stance. But Kureishi goes even lower and narrowly dodges Ohma's attack and straight up tackles him. Now, this goes to show. Now, I know a lot of people may have assumed Kureishi has pre-initiative and such, but this just goes to show that he does have pre-initiative because he just outplayed Ohma, who literally has pre-initiative as well, and who should be better at it at this point in the story as well. So, even though it's not a surprise, this is a better indicator that, hey, look, Kureishi, he has pre-initiative, he can read ahead of a fight. But when he does that, he sort of transitions over from a little tackle to going behind Ohma and holding him at his waist side, Ohma's waist. And it is at this point where Ohma's like, look, I should be stronger and faster than this guy. And yet, he seems to be outplaying him in a few areas. Constantly slipping right past Ohma. And Ohma chalks this up to Kureishi's experience. But Toku, he's there in the background. Now, Toku's commentary is very funny in this chapter because he kind of almost switches up later on in the chapter. But he's here saying, of course, naturally Kureishi would have more of an advantage when it comes to grappling. But Joji, he sees the situation a bit different. He sees like Ohma's doing his best in this scenario right here. But Kureishi seems to be the one who is struggling. And I think I agree with Joji here. Like, the problem here with Kureishi, and we'll see this as the chapter is going on, is that he manages to get opportunities, but he can't fully capitalize off of them. It's like if you're watching football, soccer, or any other sports, and they almost get the win condition or the opportunity for the win condition, but they don't follow through with it. So in soccer, you get in front of the goalkeeper, but you don't score. That's Kureishi's performance, in my opinion. But while Joji is saying all of this, Ohma is sort of using his elbow to try to hit Kureishi from his backside, since he's sort of holding on to Ohma from his back. So multiple just elbows trying to get Kureishi, and Kureishi, he starts, continuing his assault on Ohma to where he trips Ohma up using his feet to fall forward along with him, using his body weight, his feet, trip him up. Ohma falls face first to the ground, and Kureishi tries to take advantage of them as quick as possible to get his arms around Ohma's head to try and straight up strangle him. So yeah, Kureishi, he's a grappler at this point. This seems to be his thing. Not a surprise, he's Cosmo's master, but so far I have seen grappling from Kureishi and next to nothing else. And considering most people here were leaning towards their specialties, I think this is his specialty. Either way, he has him on the ground, and this is where he looks like he dropped the soap. Ohma is underneath Kureishi, and Kureishi, he's trying to get him, but again, not quite there. Ohma's able to talk, he's not suffocating, there is a struggle there, sure, but he's not suffocating. And you have Kureishi himself admitting it, he's like, hey look, at least let me get something, right? But Ohma's like, nah dog, y'all ain't getting nothing. And so, Ohma does a similar thing we've seen Koga do, and that is use iron fingers. So he grabs Kureishi's arm, use iron fingers to make his fingers as tough as possible to cause as much pain to Kureishi and his arms, and possibly actual damage, but mostly you'll start feeling pain from that. And Kureishi, he lets go. He actually he's like, ow, the pain actually gets to him. He has to back off at this point. And Ohma uses that opportunity of Kureishi sort of backing away reflexively from the pain, and he sort of turns around and to kick him away from him. So he gains a bit more distance with Kureishi. And Liu notices that Ohma is no longer going into a guard position. He's more so fighting him, without grappling. And so the whole thing Ohma was doing towards the beginning of this fight, where he was trying to meet certain fighters in their specialty, nah, Ohma's done with that. The games are done at this point. And now Ohma is charging in, and of course Kureishi's also taking a low stance, also charging in as well. And something very interesting happens, and this is, especially with the context that we have that Kureishi probably has pre-initiative, Ohma just straight up uses, I'm going to call it an overhook strike from Ohma's left hand. So it comes from the top, he uses it, it's like a left hook, but it's like from above Kureishi's head. It lands completely. Kureishi, he's even reels from the attack, and Ohma starts unleashing what I think is a new move that is actually, and the reason why I'm confident it's a new move is that it's actually water kata with a mix with adamantine, and it is called Swimming Swallow, and it's basically a flurry of punches. Like that's really what it is. My guess is because it comes from the water kata part of the Nico style, it's a lot more flowy, and we kind of see panels like that where it's almost like it's flowing towards Kureishi. And considering the adamantine, then those strikes also have power behind them. So Kureishi, he's putting his guard up at this point. Ohma is above him, throwing just those flurry of punches straight at him, and one even slips past Kureishi's guard, and he's just hanging on basically. And this is where Toku has a switch up, because now he's seeing, oh yeah, Ohma's got this in the bag basically, and maybe we don't even have to wait for 3 minutes, we can just take Kureishi out right now. But Joji, he sort of notices that Kureishi's up to something, and he says, nah, there's no need for that, let's chill for a bit. And we actually get to see what Kureishi is trying to do, because he catches both of Ohma's hands by their wrists. And Ohma, he notices something and quickly pulls Kureishi closer to him and goes for a knee, which again lands on Kureishi. And this is where Kureishi sort of reels in pain for a bit, and this is where I'm also going to start complaining a bit. Now if you've made it to this part in the video, thank you very much, but when he's reeling in pain, he's like, that one really smarts. And there's something about this, I'm probably gonna have to make a video complaining about this, because I think maybe it's because I look at the Kengan Omega story a lot more closely, but there's been a lot of situations just like this one. Like, don't get me wrong, English is, I'm not the best at it. I'm really not. But everyone and their mom knows that what Kureishi is saying there is that really hurts. Ohma just need this man to his core, potentially his stomach. Smarts is not the word that comes to mind. And it's not just this. That's really the more frustrating part. I don't know what's happening with the translation of this manga. I really don't. But it's really actually starting to bug me. And this is something that has been slowly building up with me, unfortunately. Where I'm thinking, I'm just gonna give them the benefit of the doubt until I'm like, okay, what the hell is going on? Someone has to explain this one. But yeah, let's carry on with the review itself. We'll save that for another video. Kureishi carries on talking. He's like, hey, Ohma is kind of a tough nut to actually crack. And that he's sort of getting sick and tired of doing this sparring match. At least that's how it sounds like, because Ohma's like, hey, look, that's rich coming from you considering you're trying to break my wrists. And we see Ohma sort of pop those joints on his wrist back in place. So when Kureishi tried to hold his wrist, he did try to break both of them at that time. And this is where we get the freak, the epithet, the real Kureishi. And he says, no, you don't get it. When I said I'm sick and tired of this, I mean I'm sick and tired of just playing coy. This act basically of where Kureishi's like, oh, I'm just a nice guy. Oh, I'm just an old man. Oh, all that stuff. And while he's saying this, it's funny I mentioned dropping the soap. That looks like a Donovan smile. I really hope that life has been kind to you and you haven't read Berserk, so you don't know who I'm talking about, and that Kureishi will be really all you know of this smile. But yeah, that's the end of the video. Because almost like, hey, that works for me. Look, let's go. Go all out, my boy. And yeah, I like the chapter. Very entertaining. Again, translation issues that I will talk about at a later point. But besides that, art was good, choreography was good. Kureishi was a pretty good underdog character in this fight. I think we're done with Kureishi for now. I think the rest of this fight will be off screen, as I've said in my sort of spoiler posts. But he's done very well for himself. And I do wonder, because chances are Toku will be the next individual to come in and not Joji. And so if he comes in, Toku is a grappler as well. I wonder how he will deal with the issue of fighting Ohma, especially in comparison to Kureishi. But yeah, as I expected, Ohma has been getting more challenge over time in this match, and I expect this to be the case until it is concluded, until it is done. But yeah, don't forget to like and sub, and until next time, take it easy.